as well. So what I saw is when you were at setup here, your shoulders were lower like this and your tilt was pretty much vertical. Your head was maybe like this as well. Now from here, when you were swinging back, your spine would go a little bit into a C curve, and then from there you'd have to try and fight it to try and get back to loft. Now if we're starting at this point here, we're actually de-lofting the club. As a result of that, we're going to hit low ones, so your sort of reaction to that is actually to try and tilt back to try and launch it high. The job of the driver is to get it as far as possible, and if you imagine throwing a ball, we would be in this position to start with to try and get that ball going as far as possible. So we need to do that with the golf swing. So we're going to go for setup first. Ball position's in the good place, left heel is great. When you're in this position, you'll feel like you're tilting because your shoulders are mismatched. But I want you to feel like you're tilting more from the hip. So you're going to push the hip forward there, but lean back at the same point here. So my body weight still is 50-50, but we're in much more of a position where we're actually looking behind the ball. Maybe my ears over the inside of my right foot from this position here. Now this will feel funny. I want your head to tilt with this as well. I have a guy that I teach, I mentioned it on the video, that he goes tilt here, twist, and then knocks his head back to look at the ball at this angle. As we're looking at this angle, it actually makes me, this is my feeling, I'm looking more at this angle. So we're more likely, if we're looking at that angle, to see or interpret where straight is, which is more into out for your swing. So from here, we've got to have this push forward, tilt back, head goes there as well. From here, making sure that we're in a good position, good comfy position, and this is going to be maintained throughout the swing. From this angle as well, making sure that shoulders are matching the feet, if not exaggerating that as well. So from this angle, we had your shoulders slightly pointing left, feet slightly right. And by the time you got back down to the ball, your shoulders were left, and the club was somewhere in this position. So it was a little bit of a mismatch of what was going on, and probably why we're getting those misses with the driver. So what we need is making sure that where we're going the tilt, we're also tilting in a position that this left shoulder comes a little bit forward here. This is then going to help the next move. So we've talked about pivot before in your swing, making sure that we're rotating like this, which is getting better with the irons, but we need it much more with the driver as you're coming up. So going into that good setup here, as you're tilting, we want to maintain this spine angle as much as possible. So you can see that I'm staying behind the ball, my head's staying pretty still as well, and my spine's staying like this as well, rather than going from here and changing as we're going around, because then we're going to have to reapply that as we get back down. So the feeling for you is to go from here, maintain that spine angle, and then from here, this is the important bit, is to bump the hips slightly, because that increases that spine angle. Then from here, we're going to fire the arms at the ball. So we're going from that, bump and fire. That then squares at the face, it keeps you back as well, keeps you working along your plane line as well, because your spine's in a good position. And then from there, that's when we can release and go through. You're going to get a lot more power because the release is going to be good, but it has to happen because of the setup. So have a go with